about it. Hey guys, I'm Caleb once again. So I need to ask you a question. Does anybody remember watching Toons in the 2000s before? It's a flash animated Looney Tunes shorts which were a feature of the Looney Tunes website from 2001 through 2005. The original versions feature interactive segments, but most of these have been removed in the VHS and DVD versions. Well, I actually like it a lot. And my favorite segments are One-Shots, Judge Granny, Sports Blab, The Junkyard Run, Mysterious Phenomena of the Unexplained, Planet of the Taz, and most of all, Toon Marooned. Toon Marooned is one of my favorites. When I watched it on Christmas, my favorite episodes were Helter Skelter, Beach, Blanket, Bango, I've Misplaced My Piano, and least of all, Fowl be comin' back round the mountain. Yeah, you heard me. Fowl be comin' back round the mountain is one of my least favorite short, because I hated this episode. The reason in question, being Daffy Duck getting eliminated instead of Tweety. The finalists have been decided, Tweety and Daffy. Tweety was getting ready. He tried to throw challenges in the other two shorts, Oh My Darlin' Serpentine and Obstacles, of course, after finding out about their elimination of Taz and Sylvester. However, he won in the final short. This episode had me furious so much I wanted Tweety to be eliminated because he won, and Daffy got eliminated. Anyway, after Christmas, I was looking on eBay for some Looney Tunes VHS tapes and DVDs. There was nothing catching my eye, until I saw a blank VHS which is labeled on the top, Toon Marooned, Fowl be comin' back round the mountain, the middle on it, alternate ending tape number 1, and the bottom of it was the date, September 2nd, 2001. And the second tape which was labeled also, Toon Marooned, Fowl be comin' back round the mountain, aftermath tape number 2, September 3rd, 2001. I got baffled here. I'm guessing Tweety got eliminated in this ending. It was only $0.01 into $5 shipping on the bid. I wasn't too sure if I wanted to watch it, but I wanted to see Tweety taking Daffy's elimination, so I bid it anyway. After bidding it, I checked the description, until I spotted the words from an eBay user saying that they will never sleep again. After watching those two tapes, I shrugged the user's comment off knowing it was a prank. Tape number 1. On New Year's Day, it had finally arrived at the mail. I went outside in the snow, grabbed the mail keys out from my dad's car, ran to the mail out in the snow, pulled it out of the mail, ran back to my room and unboxed it. What's inside were 2 VHS tapes, like I said before. Without any hesitations, I played the first tape. The short was normal, like the final production, until the end. Also, there are some differences. Daffy and Tweety come upon challenging puzzles which they must solve, in order to progress through the caves. Tweety is first met with a complicated math problem. Instead, he answers incorrectly, and gets started as a result. Daffy meanwhile gets the which came first question, which he gets right because he knows the answer, allowing him to proceed. Tweety must then make a choice of 3 doors to progress. Behind one seems to be a ladies' room. He gets torched by fire when he opens another, and the third one is a closet, its entire contents pouring out onto Tweety. Daffy enters Potluck Cove, and gets 3 cherries on a slot machine. This allows Daffy to reach the summit first and touch the idol, winning the prize money and the competition altogether. Then Bugs appeared out of nowhere and said, and the winner is Daffy Duck. Daffy was so excited that he started doing the floss and the text was flashing purple and yellow saying, Daffy wins. Tweety, unaware Daffy has won, he was shocked, until he got angry at Daffy and Bugs. What? Daffy? How could you? I was supposed to win, not you. Daffy walked up to Tweety and replied, well, Tweety, I would have voted for the cat, if you didn't plan on throwing challenges, but it's time for you to say goodbye. Tweety was fumed, wanting to kill Daffy. Sorry, Tweety, looks like you're the last one. So Daffy Duck has spoken, you're out of here. Bugs said, no. Tweety screamed. He then started talking, shifting from normal to very deep. Not this time. I'm gonna kill you, backstabbing Duck. Tweety then turns into, oh no, Monster Tweety from the 1960 short, Hide and Go Tweet. This time he was different. He had black eye sockets, he had red pupils, his fur was dark yellow, and he was crying blood. Monster Tweety ran towards Daffy as desperate chase by Roger began to play in the background. Daffy screamed, but his scream was very real. If it was his actor had finally lost it. Daffy then ran as he was being chased by Monster Tweety. They ran round the mountaintop. Daffy ran into Bugs, to try and catch breath. Bugs asked, Daffy, what's wrong? Bugs. Daffy said, I have finally won, but now Tweety is trying to kill me. Tweety. Bugs said, I've got you now, you little dumb duck. Monster Tweety yelled behind Daffy. Daffy then turned around, to see Monster Tweety and screamed. Daffy started to run away from Monster Tweety causing him to follow Daffy, and making Bugs dizzy. After spinning around, he shakes his head in a cart's eye anyway, looked at the camera, if he was looking at me, and said there's an only way how to stop this monster bird. He then proceeded to reach behind his back, only to pull out a large sledgehammer. Then it cuts to Daffy running, until he got hit by the wall, and has nowhere to go or hide. Monster Tweety then approaches him. Monster Tweety roared at Daffy. The roar was loud, that it hurt my ears. My ears rang for a bit, so I had to pause the tape and rest my head for 2 minutes, before I could watch it again. After Monster Tweety roared, he said to Daffy in a deep voice, I finally got you now, you MOTHERF number percenting duck. Monster Tweety yelled at Daffy. What did I even just heard? I thought there was no swearing in the Looney Tunes webtoons. We all know that they can only say stupid, idiot and moron. But I've never heard someone swearing like a sailor. Before Monster Tweety could eat Daffy, he was hit on the head by a large sledgehammer by Bugs Bunny. After getting hit on the head by the chainsaw, Monster Tweety then pulled a goofy-looking expression on his face. He had an eye closed, while the other is open, half squinted, and his tongue was sticking out, and he was smiling. I actually thought that goofy face he made was funny. I laughed so hard. However, I stopped laughing as I realized how messed up this alternate ending was getting worse. Monster Tweety groaned in pain, still smiling, and he fell to the floor. The screen then cut to the top of the mountain. This time, there was a cannonball placed on the top of the mountain, and Tweety was back to normal. Daffy grinned smugly at her, while Bugs smirked as well. Well, Tweety boy, I think it's time for you to get the cannonball for real. Bugs said. Courtney fumed, once again. But this time, talking normally. Bugs, Daffy, prepare to hear from my lawyers. You two are going to be in serious trouble this time. You'll receive lots of fines, and then I've got something for Yura. Before Tweety could finish ranting, Bugs launched the cannon and Tweety screamed as he was being launched, and fell to the water. Then it shows Daffy and Bugs on the boat. Kids, don't let that happen to you, or your family and friends. We didn't plan that ahead. The boat then turned into a speedboat and drove off screen, cutting to black. The credits then rolled. However, the credits was rolling slowly, and the texts were red instead of white, instead of several musics playing during the credits. It is Such a Good Night by Paul Rothman played in the background, but it was muffled and distorted, like in the same as the Rescuers Down Under bed ending, and with a demonic effect applied to it. I felt very uneasy with the choice of credits music playing over the credits. After the credits, instead of Daffy yelling like a Tarzan at the end, a woman was screaming in so much pain at maximum volume, startling me. The credits then ended. I had lots of chills in my spine. When I moved one of my body parts, the color bar popped up with the 1K Hearthstone played along with it, and when I was about to grab the remote to the VCR, the jump scare popped up. It was an edited footage from the end of the Toon Marooned short, Oh My Darling Serpentine. When Das failed to get a snake at all, he is automatically eliminated. He doesn't take this news very well, and he trashes the council in anger, and ran towards the camera, breaking the fourth wall. But his fur was red instead of brown. He had no eyes, his smile was wider with no teeth or gums, and was running towards the camera at fast speed. And the sounds played in the background during the jump scare was a monster roaring combined with Screech Point MP4 played at maximum volume. I screamed so loud that I almost woke up the whole neighborhoods. The jump scare was very loud that it froze the screen for 5 seconds with the sound still playing, until my VCR turned off by itself. I was so traumatized by the alternate ending. What did I just watched? Is this appropriate for a show for kids aged 10 and up? So I turned the VCR back on, rewinded the tape and ejected it. I decided to check out the aftermath tape, tape number 2, September 3rd, 2001. I had to put on a brave face to watch it, so I put the second tape into my VCR. Tape number 2. The video started with the intro of the one-shot shorts called Tweety in, Under the Dangerous Sea, a Looney Tunes cartoon. At that moment, it showed Tweety falling in the sunset. He had a long rant about time on this season. Stupid, Daffy. Just unfair. If Daffy hadn't backstabbed me, nor if Sylvester getting eliminated, then none of this would have happened. And Daffy lied to me about getting rid of that cat, and trying to boot off Daffy. I was getting so close. Tweety then looked down. Speaking of getting so close, I've got to deploy straight away. Tweety then pulled at the cord of her parachute. However, it didn't deploy. What? Why is this happening? Tweety continuously pulled at the cord, screaming for life. I was kind of happy. Tweety is finally getting what he deserved. Tweety screamed as she plummeted to the water, and he hit the water and the ocean. Tweety groaned in pain. Boy, that was really painful. Tweety tried to get up, but he couldn't stand all the way up. All of his bones were broken. She couldn't move a muscle. Why is this happening to me? And then, it showed a cute mermaid for 5 seconds until someone unzips the mermaid costume to reveal a shark. He looked pretty angry, staring at Tweety. Yikes. Tweety screamed as the shark theme played, like in every shorts from the Looney Tunes webtoons. Tweety swam away, causing the shark to catch up to him. Tweety hides behind the rock, making the shark swim to the left. When the shark is gone, Tweety sighed in relief, until he then heard rustling in a bush. He moved her head to see what it was. The rustling got louder, and then there was what sounded like a sea creature growling. Tweety, at that moment, started breathing rapidly, picking up anxiety. I've never seen him get this scared before. At that moment, an arm grabbed him by the arm. Tweety was shocked at who he is looking at. Is that you? I thought you were on the go. Oh, no. Somebody, help. Please, help. The arm that grabbed Tweety was very familiar. By looking at that sleeve, the creature that grabbed him then roared in his face. It sounded like an actual sea beast's roar. Tweety screamed as he got dragged out of the shot. However, the scream didn't sound cartoony. It sounded like her actress was in agony. The creature that grabbed Tweety was a clamshell since speared, seared, and feared. By looking at his blue skin, he was at his most messed up state yet. The clamshell was eating Tweety's flesh and organs, which he cut open on his body. After eating Tweety's flesh, the clamshell then looked at the camera, blood drooling from his mouth and all over the clamshell. His eyes twitched, he sniffed once and growled silently. His eyes even turned red, his black pupils remaining intact. There was even ominous music playing over the scene, which was the most frightening and darkest soundtrack in the Looney Tunes webtoon series. There was even a mixture of sound effects in this scene, one which sounds like a cymbal crash in reverse and the other being a male scream fading in slowly. At that moment, Tweety's fur turned red, his eyes turned black and sat up, like a possessed object coming to life. He then looked at the camera, and glared angrily, and the screen cut to black, cutting off the music, cymbal crash and screaming. That was the end of the one-shots. Aftermath. I was extremely shocked. I didn't know what to say, but I was glad this was over. I talked in my mind saying that Tweety got what he deserved in this alternate ending, but I didn't wish for something like this. The second tape rewinded and ejected, so I put the 2 tapes under my bunk bed. However, I went to see if that on eBay, but I was seemingly deleted, because the user who posted it was a former animator for Warner Bros. Animation, who goes by the name Anthony Kaufman, according to one of the users on the page. Kaufman was hired by Warner Bros. Animation to animate Fowl be Comin round the mountain. However, he was fired for making a dark turn of the final short of Toon Marooned by getting too carried away, adding graphic content in the episode. After Warner Bros. Animation decided to have Tweety be eliminated in the episode, the company changed their mind, having Daffy be eliminated, since her elimination won't be too traumatizing. I read through Anthony Kaufman's backstory, and I never knew lots of producers would take their obsession with horror culture too far. I haven't slept for 16 days, which is the episode number for Fowl be Comin round the mountain. I don't really watch a lot of Looney Tunes nowadays, after what I've seen. Remember, make sure to think before buying lost media.